Yo, KD, you're so boring, dog. What do you mean? What you mean? What you mean? You don't go outside, you don't drink, you're built like a deep breath. Like, what's wrong with you, man? Work never sleeps. I'm a Sigma male, you know? Suck my nuts! How about instead of slaving away over the hentai you make, dog, it's YouTube. You leave your crusty ass room and touch grass for once, cause you're gonna be bald by the time you're 40. You know, it actually would be nice to see some sunlight for a while. Yo, what the fuck? No, you're about to be 20, right? Oh my god, you again? You think you're allowed to enjoy life right now? There are millionaires your age, and you think you can enjoy life right now. You know what? Let's go band for band right now with your dog ass. What? And riddle me this right now. Are you a philanthropist? Oh, you're not? Then stop thinking about fun before I get pissed! And I bet you lost your gooning streak too. Well, guess what, you bum? I've been gooning this whole time! Dude! Huh? What? You in or no? When I was younger, it was my expectation that by the time I turned 20, I'd be living a completely different life because my dumbass saw 20 as the age where you reach full maturity. I expected to have a career aspiration, my own place, married with 3 kids, a 30-year gooning streak. I thought life at that point would be relatively straightforward. And as someone on the cusp of the big 2-0, I can say that I was absolutely wrong. If I had to describe how it feels to turn 20, it feels like you're in between ages. For instance, old heads tell you, enjoy your 20s, live life, you got your whole life to be an adult. But whenever I try to do that, I think about the people my age who are 10 times more successful than me, and I get FOMO. But then whenever I lock in, hunch over at my desk and try to work on something, I look out at all the people my age who are out creating memories while they're young. And I get FOMO. And it's not uncommon for people to have what's called a quarter-life crisis when they reach their 20s because in the grand scheme of things, you're only born into the real world after high school, so you're still trying to find a sense of control and belonging in the world because you need to crawl before you can walk. However, in the case of Gen Z, this insecurity is more prevalent than it was in past generations, and the immense pressure kids are facing to be stable and independent as quickly as possible has led a lot of people to feel burned out of life before it's even begun. And I don't want to hear a peep from you Eustace bag-looking ass old heads spout shit like, oh, what do you snowflakes have to complain about? What do you kids, did you fight in World War I? I remember back in the day, me and Adam and Eve used to... Listen here, old man. Keep my generation's name out your fucking mouth! Say what you want about kids being lazy, kids not wanting to work, blah blah blah, I'm an old head, blah blah, the biggest threat to my life is falling down the stairs. There are pretty good reasons for why Gen Z is supposedly lazy and unmotivated. Here's just a few off the top of my head. And just FYI, these are things that your Aunt Jemima looking ass caused, by the way. And yet despite all these factors, the main cause goes much deeper. The root cause of growing up being so overwhelming for Gen Zers is the fact that we've been launched into adulthood comparatively. Like we've lost 2 years of our lives to the Modelo virus. And time that previous generations got to spend in the real world, making friends, memories, even mistakes to learn from, we spent shut inside, not maturing with our age at all. And the fact that we had all this brain rot to consume during those 2 years of not learning anything did not make things easy for us. Those 2 years of getting Brazzers-style facials of stimulation has made our usage of technology practically symbiotic. I can't explain to you the fearful amount of people in my college lectures that were just unable to pay attention, flipping between anime episodes and taking notes every 5 seconds because their brains are cooked. And it's only getting worse. Millennial parenting is creating a new generation that can barely read or write. Oh, stop whining. You kids shouldn't have a problem learning. You have all the answers at your fingertips with this Mozilla GoogleNet Explorer. Back in my day, we had to figure things out for ourselves. You kids have it so easy these days. Why are you complaining? Well, believe it or not, you bald shit! Not having 30 different types of stimuli shoved down your throat in one day is actually a very beneficial thing, especially to literal children who can't regulate their usage of drugs, essentially. Life has just become so complicated, like way more complicated than it needs to be. And a good example of this is how there's now a market for guides on living life, which is something that wasn't present 100 years ago. These unique and exotic flavors of mental illness would not have thrived in previous generations like it does nowadays. And it serves as a reminder that Gen Z has not had enough time to grow grow up. Our learning phase was robbed from us, and it allowed these grifting bald men and toxic online communities to consume and radicalize the minds of many people because kids simply don't know any better. Like, it's gotten so bad that there's even red pill for women. Like, and what fans the flame of this issue is the fact that there's probably more pressure than there ever has been to be financially and physically independent because of both economic and social factors. Our expectations for ourselves and what our achievements should be is completely inflated because of seeing a new 20-year-old millionaire pop up every other month, or a grifting bald man telling us we're slaves to a matrix that only he can help you out of. For $49.99 a month. And again, this wasn't needed before this generation. People before us, they just lived life. They made their own experiences, mistakes, and memories. Their perceptions and opinions were much more confined to their communities. Whereas it's so easy for us to form a new opinion or insecurity based on what new TikTok we've been shown today. And you could argue that we're privileged to be able to have options and to have all this knowledge, but I'd tell you to go P. Diddy yourself. And the reason you should is because of the paradox of choice. Like, think about it. Mr. Clean. When you were growing up, your life had a semi-straightforward blueprint. Go through school, go through university, get a 9-to-5, and climb the corporate ladder. For 90% of people, this was more or less the one right path, and you could live your life and make your own mistakes more or less carefree and still be almost guaranteed safety just as long as you followed that blueprint. Now look at the present day. There's no one right way to live anymore, and not only are there so many different career paths that are dangled in front of you each time you open your phone, each path makes you feel like you're walking the wrong one because there's just so much you could do, but it all comes with an opportunity cost. You know, you see people your age on social media living extravagant lives, and you look at your life. It's just so easy to compare your situation to hundreds of other people your age that are 3 times more successful than you, and it's created this pressure to find your place in the world as young as possible and to be independent the millisecond you become an adult. And looking at these facts, it's no wonder that over 50% of Gen Zers feel as if they're not adulting correctly. How can you possibly not be behind in life if you're seeing multiple people your age making triple what you make monthly? And this dilemma that many people are battling with is what's causing a lot of young people to give up on their future because they feel like it's just too late for them. And I know all this talk makes life seem even more bleak and is all the more reason to just give up, but as someone who grew up similar to most of you out there, as someone who's actually having to experience this firsthand as opposed to going off assumptions like these old heads, and as someone with at least some form of a voice, I wanted to use my platform to do this little bit of good before I go back to devaluing obese people. The quarter-life crisis is down to a lack of direction, a feeling of not having guidance or structure or a good idea of who you are, which makes sense when you think about it because when you come out of school, you spend at least 12 years being told what to do and when to do it, and now all of a sudden, you're the one directing yourself, and it all feels overwhelming because it's the first time you've ever actually had control of your life. So it's understandable that people feel lost in this situation, but I'm willing to bet that deep down, everyone has an idea of what they like to achieve or at least work towards achieving, but are stopped by one thing, which is their perceptions, because that's really all what life is, one giant perception. Everything you see is a perception of light. Everything you hear is a nerve impulses interpreted by your brain. And as much as you say, bro, I'ma touch you this, bad things happen to good people that, you never actually touch your homie's ass, but only perceive what it might feel like. And because life is your brain interpreting the information it's given, if you feed it negative and destructive information, like how you're powerless and directionless, it will see the world in that light and you'll just exist until you die because there's no perceived meaning to your life. So instead of choosing to have a negative perception of your future, believe that you can actually achieve something or make a difference in some type of way because it's simply pointless to think otherwise. You only get one chance on this planet. Why not work towards something worthwhile? So here's what I want you to do. First, finish this video because daddy needs money. Then after you're done squeezing every last cent out of YouTube for your boy, I want you to just jot down anything and everything you'd like to accomplish or achieve. And when you finish writing that list, I want you to look up and down that list, and I guarantee at least one of the things you wrote down will stand out amongst the rest. And you'll know which one it is because your mind will gravitate towards it. And when you found that goal, I want you to ask yourself, why not me? Why can't you do it? What is physically preventing you from achieving this? And if you can honestly give a 100% valid reason, for example, you're a paraplegic and your goal is to be the next Usain Bolt, move on to another. Oh, for fuck's sake. But jokes aside, all I want you to come away from this video with is that despite what you may believe, you're in control of your life, but you shouldn't expect to have everything figured out right now because it's in this stage where you're learning to crawl in the real world. Anyways, that's all from me. I'll see you another 3 months when the rent is due.